With one final burst of energy, they burst through the front door and out into the night. They didn't stop running until they were far away from the mansion, their breaths coming in ragged gasps.
The air is thick with dust, and the silence is suffocating, hinting at unseen secrets lurking within its walls.
"What the hell is happening?" Jake yelled, his heart pounding in his chest.
The locket stirs a sense of foreboding in her, setting the stage.
"We've come this far," Jake replied, trying to sound confident.
Emily's heart races.
"Let's see what all the fuss is about."
Chilling drafts hint at a presence watching her every move in the desolate mansion.
"We're never going back there," Michael said, his voice filled with determination.
The atmosphere grows heavier, filling Emily with a dread that tightens like a noose around her neck.
"Welcome to my domain," the figure said in a deep, gravelly voice. "You will never leave."
Deeper into the heart of the mansion's darkness, where the line
"We should probably get out of here," Emily said, her voice shaking.
Confronted by the ghostly figure, Emily stands her ground.
"We need to get out of here," he said, his voice filled with fear.
The mansion's tragic past.
"We need to find her," Emily insisted, but Jake shook his head.
That binds it to the mansion, unraveling a tale of heartbreak and loss.
"We made it," Emily said,
with a
her voice filled with relief.
The ghost fades into the shadows, leaving Emily to bear witness to the legacy.
"We have to find another way out," Emily said, her voice trembling.
As day breaks, Emily
"This way," Jake shouted, leading them towards the light.
Forever transformed by the harrowing ordeal within the cursed mansion.
They stumbled through the darkness, trying to find another exit. The whispers and growls seemed to follow them, growing louder and more intense. Just when they thought all hope was lost, they saw a faint light ahead.
Beckoning her closer.
They moved cautiously through the mansion, their footsteps echoing in the empty halls. The wooden floors creaked under their weight, adding to the sense of unease. As they explored, they found old portraits lining the walls, their eyes seeming to follow the group as they moved.
Voice echoes through the room, warning her of the curse that now binds them together.
They made a desperate dash for the door, flinging it open and tumbling through. They found themselves back in the main part of the mansion. The oppressive atmosphere lifted slightly. They had escaped the mansion, but they knew the horror would stay with them forever. The echoes of the abyss would haunt their dreams, a constant reminder of the terror they had faced.
A battle against the forces that seek to bind her to the
They fumbled through the darkness, their hands brushing against cold, damp walls. The growling grew closer, and they could feel an oppressive presence closing in on them.
Lingers like a haunting melody in her mind.
They continued their exploration, finding room after room filled with decaying furniture and relics of a bygone era. In the library, they discovered old books and papers scattered across the floor. Emily picked up a leather-bound journal, its pages yellowed with age. They collapsed to the ground, their bodies trembling with exhaustion and fear. The mansion loomed in the distance, silent and foreboding.
A glimmer of hope in the darkness of the mansion.
They all stopped and listened. Faint whispers filled the air, growing louder with each passing moment. The whispers seemed to come from all around them, echoing off the walls. "There," she shouted, pointing to the door.
Forgiveness blooms where hatred once festered, a bond formed in shared pain.
The small town of Windermere had always been known for its tranquility. Nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, it seemed a place untouched by the passage of time. However, there was one place within the town that the locals whispered about in hushed tones: the old Blackwood Mansion. The mansion had stood abandoned for decades, a monolithic structure of stone and decay that loomed over the town like a spectre. The others nodded in agreement. They had experienced the true horror of the Blackwood Mansion, and they knew they would never forget it. The mansion loomed larger as they approached, its once grand facade now crumbling and overgrown with ivy. The iron gates, rusted and creaking, stood ajar as if inviting them in. Jake pushed the gate open with a loud screech, and they made their way up the overgrown path to the front door. The front door was heavy and resisted their efforts to open it, but with a combined shove from all four, it finally creaked open. The air inside was stale and cold, carrying the faint scent of decay. The flashlight beams cut through the darkness, revealing a grand but dilapidated foyer. A massive chandelier hung precariously from the ceiling, its crystals dull and coated in dust. The figure advanced towards them, its presence suffocating and overwhelming. Just when it seemed all hope was lost, Emily noticed something, a small, hidden door in the corner of the room. The echoes in the abyss. Suddenly the room plunged into complete darkness as their flashlights flickered and went out. They huddled together, their breaths coming in rapid, shallow gasps. "Sarah," Michael shouted, but there was no response. "Run," Jake shouted, and they sprinted towards the front door. Reluctantly, the group agreed and made their way to the basement door. It was locked, but Michael managed to pick the lock with a hairpin. The door creaked open, revealing a narrow staircase leading down into darkness. The air grew colder as they descended, and an overwhelming sense of dread settled over them. Panic set in as they rushed to the door, trying to force it open, but it wouldn't budge. The whispers grew louder, now accompanied by a low, menacing growl. "Or maybe there's more to this place than we thought," Michael added, his curiosity piqued. On a particularly chilly October evening, a group of 4 friends, Jake, Emily, Sarah, and Michael, decided to explore the mansion. They were thrill seekers, always on the lookout for the next adrenaline rush. Despite the warnings from the townsfolk, they believed the stories were just that, stories. Armed with flashlights, a camera, and their courage, they set off towards the mansion as the sun dipped below the horizon. "Not yet," Jake insisted. "We've come this far. Let's check out the basement. That's where all the creepy stuff happens, right?" "Maybe it's just his imagination," Sarah suggested, though she didn't sound convinced. Many stories surrounded the mansion, tales of disappearances and strange occurrences that had happened within its walls. No one dared to go near it, especially after dark. It was said that the mansion was cursed, haunted by the spirits of those who had perished there under mysterious circumstances. "Look at this," Emily said, pointing to a particularly large portrait of a stern-looking man. "Must be the original owner." "Listen to this," she said, flipping through the pages. "It's a journal entry from Jonathan Blackwood. He writes about hearing strange noises at night, voices that seem to come from the walls. The mansion seemed to come alive around them, doors slamming and windows shattering as they ran. The whispers and growls followed them, growing louder and more frenzied. "Let's take some pictures and get out of here," Jake suggested, trying to mask his own fear. "Let's start with the ground floor," Michael suggested, trying to keep the group focused. "Let's keep moving," Jake urged, feeling a chill run down his spine. "Let's get out of here," Michael shouted, but as they turned to leave, the basement door slammed shut with a deafening bang. "Jonathan Blackwood," Michael read from a plaque beneath the portrait. "He disappeared along with his family about 50 years ago. No one ever found out what happened to them." Jake, Emily, and Michael backed away, their hearts pounding with terror. They had stumbled into a nightmare, and there seemed to be no escape.